Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I'd like to introduce myself. I am João Silveira. I am host of Laser Talks in Rio de Janeiro. I am talking today from Paris. And with me in the beginning, I have the co-host of the Laser Rio, that's Rejane Spitz, and also the partner, Gabriela from Swiss Next Brazil. I would like just to say a few words before the beginning, is just to introduce you to the Laser Talks in the Leonardo world, if is your first time here. So, first of all, Leonardo, it's a publication that connects art, science, and technology, and publish all the works of works from artists and scientists that mix up all these subjects. It's a publication with the MIT Press at the moment, was created more than 50 years ago here in Paris, and now is spread out all over the world. So the Laser Talks is one of the projects of the Leonardo organization. That's a non-profit organization. And Laser Talks, the idea is to connect people from all over the world in meetings, informal meetings, to discuss art and science. The Laser Talk Rio was created almost 3 years ago. So we are doing a very good job, and we are very happy with our partners that we have. So it's possible to have the collaboration with the partners. It's possible to do this Laser Talk. So before to introduce my colleague Rejane, I would like to thank the Swiss Next Brazil for the partnership to make possible these Laser Talks today. Se você está vendo em português, no Zoom, e há um botãozinho para que você possa ver essa tradução, ver a tradução simultânea. Logo mais, você vai achar aí no Zoom. Quem quer ver em português, veja o link do Zoom. So, I'd like just to say thank you again, Gabriela, for the partnership of the Swiss Next Brazil for this Laser Talks. It's a great pleasure to have you with us in all the production, in all the stages of the production. And I will let you introduce yourself and also introduce the Swiss Next Brazil.
Thank you, João. Hello, everyone. We are very happy as well to be part of this event. We are very glad to welcome you to this event. As he said, my name is Gabriela. I'm architect and project manager at Swiss Next Brazil. Before I start, I would like to tell you about the simultaneous translation that is available only through the Zoom platform, right? So if you're on YouTube, go to the Swiss Next website, register there very quickly, and you can access the Zoom platform. So it's going to be presented in English with simultaneous translation to Portuguese. So to access this, just click on the interpretation icon located in the menu bar on the bottom of your screen and choose your language option. Esse webinar é em inglês, como o João falou, é pelo Zoom. Tá? Então, se você estiver no YouTube, vá para o Zoom, que tem um ícone de interpretação na barra de menu da sua tela do Zoom, e aí ali você pode escolher a sua opção linguística. So now we'll continue in English. Swiss Next is a partner of this event today. So a little bit about Swiss Next. Swiss Next is an initiative of the Swiss State Secretariat of Education, Research and Innovation in collaboration with the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. The Swiss Next network promotes collaboration between Switzerland and other countries in science, education, and innovation. And one of the ways to connect scientists, researchers, entrepreneurs, and inspirational minds is to organize events like this one. So this year, Swiss Next Brazil has been developing initiatives on architecture and its multiple perspective in the context of the 27th World Congress of Architects, UIA 2021, to be held in Rio de Janeiro next year, and is working on many different levels on art, design, and technology as well. So today we will understand how art and science are connected, how they work together for a better version of normal. The pandemic is one of the greatest challenges in recent human history. It has forced us to stay home for long periods of time, and social distancing is still a necessity to protect others and ourselves. Science plays a vital role in the production of knowledge and innovation, and its importance has been once more proved by the current crisis. Scientists, researchers, and contribution are essentials in the development of the new technology that will shape tomorrow's world. We are very happy to be able to organize and co-host this laser talk with João Silveira, Rejane Spitz, Tânia Araújo, and many other partners. I am sure the conversation will be great. Thank you, João.
Thank you, Gabi. Once again, thank you and Swiss Next Brazil for this partnership. I would like to share great news for we from the organization of Laser Talks, that now the PUC Rio is officially our partner in this event. So in the representative of the PUC, and also now officially, not now, but there's a long time, but is officially part of the committee of host in the organization, is Rejane Spitz, that's also the moderator of the conversation at this afternoon or evening, depends on where you are. So I will talk a little bit about my colleague, Rejane. She's a full professor of the Department of Art and Design of Rio de Janeiro Catholic University in Brazil, where she coordinates the Electronic Art Lab. She holds a PhD in education from PUC Rio, Master Arts in Graphic Design from Central School of Arts and Design in London, a Bachelor in Industrial Design and Visual Communication from PUC Rio. She was a postdoctoral researcher at Cadre Laboratory for New Media San Jose State University in California, and visiting scholar of the University of California at Berkeley Space Science Lab. Her artwork, projects, and writing with focus on social and cultural issues related to the use of digital technologies have been published in major journals and exhibited at shows and conferences all over the world. She has been a volunteer member of ACM SIGGRAPH Education Committee since 1991 and is a member of the Leonardo Izast Art Science organization from MIT Press Advisory Board since 1992. So it's a great pleasure have this first event of you, Rejane. I'm very happy that you are with us, and I will let you talk a little bit about this topic of today and take this presentation with your hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you, João, and thank you, Gabriela. I'm very glad to be here today. Thank you all for being here, or there, if you like. We have a very good audience today. I'm very excited and very honored to be moderating this debate. And the whole point of a laser talk, as the name says, is an art and science rendezvous. So the idea is for you guys to participate and send questions. I hope you enjoy the presentations and participate in it. And the spirit of the laser is actually to bring the community around certain topics and inspire ideas, inspire projects, and I think we'll have a good time. So let me start by sharing the screen. So the theme of this debate has originated from a policy brief released about 2 months ago by the United Nations. It was called The Impact of COVID-19 on Latin America and the Caribbean, in which they say, and I quote, "The response to the COVID-19 pandemic should go beyond short-term emergency measures to embrace an entirely new set of health, economic, social, and industrial policies. Recovery from the pandemic should be an occasion to transform the development model of Latin America and the Caribbean while strengthening democracy, safeguarding human rights, and sustaining peace. Recovery from the pandemic should aim at building back better. And I will add to what the United Nations say, that it's not just better, but we have to create a new better, a new concept of better. And we are inviting today a group of people to discuss what is the role of artists and scientists in the construction of a new better. The whole point of today is to bring these people to debate these issues. They will present their works. I'm very honored to have such an incredible group of professionals. They all work within the arts and the sciences, but they live in different parts of the world. So Clarissa lives in Fortaleza, Brazil.
Johnny, I'm sorry, we are not seeing the presentation. Could you maybe go out of sharing screen and coming back maybe so that we can see, we only see the first one.
Okay, so again.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so let me see. Just a second. So you just saw the first one, you haven't seen the whole thing, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so let me share this again. I don't know what happened. Let's try again. Can you see it now?
Yeah, can you put that in full screen maybe?
Yes, I was playing, but that's what happened. Can you still see it?
Yeah, but no, it doesn't go to full screen, but it's okay. Maybe just not play so that we see the different slides as it is. It's okay. You can continue. Thank you.
Okay. So, so the first person to present, let me show you. The presenter is Clarissa Ribeiro. She's an architect. She's a media artist and a researcher. She's a PhD in arts from USP Brazil and the Planetary Collegium. She is a Fulbright postdoctoral scholarship awardee at our site center at UCLA. She holds a bachelor's degree in architecture and also a master's degree in architecture. And she's a member of the UCLA Art Sci Collective. She was the chair of the first Leonardo Isaac Laser Talks ever hosted in Brazil or Latin America. In 2017, she was the first one to host a Leonardo Laser Talk. And she's still doing this. And her most recent works have been exhibited in Australia, in South Africa, in South America, in the US, in Europe. And she's the principal of OASO, Office for Sentient Architecture. The second presenter will be Andrea Enner, and she's graduated from CHDK in 2008 with a BA in Visual Communication, and in 2012 from ECAL with a MA in Art Direction Type Design. Together with Martina Perrin, since 2014, she runs Perrin, a studio for art direction in Zurich. Thibaut Prévet graduated from ECAL in 2012 with a BA in graphic design, and in 2015 with the MA in visual arts. He's developing a practice at the intersection of art, engineering, and design. Currently, he's designer in residence at Atelier Luma in Arte. And about 3 years ago, they started to collaborate. So they created AATB, a practice for non-industrial robotics. They started experimenting with industrial robotic systems, and they developed works exploring human-machine interactions through the lens of kinetic and interactive products. So today we'll have a very interesting debate. I'm very excited, and I'll give the floor, maybe I should say I'll give the screen to Clarissa Ribeiro, who will start the debate. And Clarissa, please, we are looking forward to listen to your presentation. Thank you.
Clarissa, your mic is off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, cool. So I'm very happy to be here today. And when Rejane contacted me a few months ago, and later João and Gabriela, we had interesting conversations about this talk today. And oh my God, what's happening here? Seems like there is a sort of protection in the slide. That's fine. So thank you for the invitation, and I think it's an important moment for the laser talks in Rio. I'm happy that Rejane joined the team together with João and the scientists from that they were already organizing the laser in Rio. And I'm here to share a few things about this series I called Inhaling Consciousness, and talking about ecological sentience at molecular level, okay? The idea is that this series is mainly related to the neologism I introduced a few years ago. I think it was back in 2017. And that is the one of mole media. So the neologism brings this idea of talking about communication at elementary entities scale. And it's a direct reference to the concept of mole. Mole meaning the amount of matter, or saying that in one mole we have a specific amount of elementary entities of a given substance. That could be an amount of molecules, atoms, subatomic particles. And mole in this neologism, denoting not the quantitative amount of substance, but the embedded chemo information, and media, referring to the information circulation and exchange that are going on at elementary entities level within a given system that could be our body. And here by the side, I'm sharing a publication from 2018 in which I developed more about the concept or this neologism. It's related to Roy Ascott's idea of what is a moist media, but I will not be talking a lot about it today because I will be focusing on the art piece. And so here is the way the work was installed last year in June in Portugal for the Sentient States Biomind and Techno-Nature exhibition related to Planetary Collision Consciousness Reframed Conference. And yeah, this first version was mainly bringing two reference to the stage or to the scene. One is this work from Elio Itusica, the B50 bolide 2 olfactic from 1967. And he was referring to Malevich, but at the same time including this idea of an interaction or integration with the audience. And it's mainly a bag shaped in the shape of a square, and inside of the bag we have coffee, and there is a tube from which you can inhale or enjoy breathing from the bag and smelling the coffee. And another reference from 1968 is this scene from Barbarella's movie, in which you have few guys in Sogo enjoying, inhaling essence of man. And considering the object itself, yeah, the idea I bring in relation to the new concrete movement in Brazil is the one of a trans object. So I took an inhaler or a nebulizer, and I made this insertion. I added an excerpt of a cork oak bark from my grandpa lands in Portugal. So they sent me by mail. And so for the exhibition, it was back from Portugal, or from Brazil to Portugal for the exhibition. And the idea was to talk about this, the intimate relation we have with the phyllosphere microbiome, or these microscopic inhabitants of the bark of the trees. And for the piece, together with all this plastic bag, tube, mask, and nebulizer, I have a small system that can measure in microns or micrometers the amount of particles. So meaning in among this number represents as well a significant amount of microorganisms we are breathing to while we're experiencing the piece. Yeah. And here you can see the sensor, the dust sensor that's connected to an Arduino and an LCD, in which you have this, the number, the amount of particles in microns. Someone is breathing through the mask and tube connected to the plastic bag where the bark is. And together we have the phrase inhaling consciousness. This is an image of a person from the audience experiment, or like enjoying breathing from the bag. Yeah, the idea is that we have this bag as a vapor chamber. So both the plants and the microscopic animals or the microscopic life that is there could somehow survive or enjoy staying there as well. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the interaction with the audience itself. And so I decided to include a dialogue with this theorist, that's Hinterwaldner, who was studying the relation to the audience in Eliot Sika's works. And he mentions the psychologists Shelley Carson and Jordan Peterson that will offer a different perspective when you talk about latent inhibition, saying that sometimes it's related to an openness to creativity. And before that, or a more solid understanding, says that only in situations like when we have patients diagnosed with schizophrenia, we have this sort of openness. Because if you consider an inhaler or a nebulizer is mainly used for healing using chemicals, yeah? So the idea is that this device is used to kill microorganisms. When you are considering this invitation to the audience, we're inviting for a contamination, yeah? So it's a sort of inverting the idea or the function of the apparatus itself, and really and directly inviting for a contamination. And what I was considering mentioning here is that in cases such as when we have patients diagnosed with schizophrenia, and maybe this openness to the unknown could be related to the dysbiosis, that's a microbial imbalance, implying the prevalence of monotonic species in the gut as an example. And so the openness could be an impulse to invite different microorganisms to face this dysbiosis and probably building or having a more health gut microbiome. Okay, so if you consider all these conversations that are going at molecular level, I say that here mole media is the message.
Thank you so much, Clarissa, for your participation and your presentation. And I love the examples you bring, and I love the fact that you have this inhaling work that is so difficult to think about, you know, sharing a mouth and a nose apparatus now, and everybody freely sharing all these things. And I think it will lead to very interesting comments and questions during the debate. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll now invite Andrea and Thibaut, if you could join the stage, the floor, the screen. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Good. Can you hear us, Rajan?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can hear you perfectly well. Go ahead.
Good. Yeah, so hi, everybody. We are AATB. As you mentioned, we are a practice for non-industrial robotics. And by this, we mean that we are exploring use cases for robotics outside of industrial environment. The way we came to work on these ideas was that we met about 10 years ago, and we started working with, like, let's say, very crude electronics and mechanical engineering devices while we were studying graphic design. We both studied graphic design, and we started building our own printing systems. So we started to build and develop our own software and our own hardware to build printers, essentially. To develop some sort of alternative like framework to design and to print printed matter. And through this process, we started to collect a lot of different skills that were completely out of our classic curriculum as graphic designers. So we started to learn electronics prototyping, software programming, mechanical engineering, and a lot of things that started to make us very comfortable into building these sort of very crude robots. And 3 years ago, after many years of building constantly very crude and crappy robots, we got to play with an actual industrial robotic arm. And that triggered really a question of exploring further in this direction. So we started the studio, and I will show some videos. And so we got some, just leave the video without.
Oh, sir, we cannot see your video. Are you sharing the screen?
Oh yeah, excuse me. Of course, I was a bit too fast. So
thank you.
Let's start over. Share screen.
We had just amazing sound.
Yeah.
Good.
And you have to say that you want the sound from the video too. Yeah. You have to check the box at the bottom when you share the screen. There is on the left. There is a.
Yeah, share, and then I hope that works because I'm sharing now. Just a second. Is there a setting that you locked? Because we can't share the actual screen right now. We can.
Can the host unlock?
Yeah, we are looking at that view.
Yeah, just a second, sorry. I can continue, but basically what we noticed was that robotic arms have been, let's say, locked in factories, and they have been mostly used by engineers and scientists and robotics researchers in either in big corporations, R&D labs, or in like academic entities. And so outside of these fields, robotics have been very little explored because the fact that it's so heavy and hard to explore makes it hard just to prototype. I think we get finally the video, and here we go. Okay, so you see the first video now. Let's try again. Yeah, so basically, as you see here, like that was some very early work we did with some students in interactive design at ECAL. So these are just like 1 week projects, like kind of quick prototypes to try to explore some very new applications where robotics could exist in more, let's say, conventional spaces where we usually inhabit. So robots, for us, the thesis is that robots are coming out of factories, and the studio is really trying to now explore new use cases. So I will go on the next video.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So another project we want to show is this project called Soap Opera. It is basically a robot that blows bubble all day long. And the idea is really that when the robots come out of factory floors and are not forced to work all day to produce and to produce for us, they might want to become part of our everyday life, and they want to take a role in our, in the life with humans. So we developed this installation where the robot is blowing bubbles, and it's really kind of opens also the question if something that is really kind of human to just play something that machines don't do normally, but can a machine play, and can something that is produced by a machine like a bubble be something that is very beautiful to look at? So can a machine create an artwork?
And this actually also was very referential to some early paintings from the 16th century, like the Vanitas paintings. What we noticed, like, was in the Vanitas painting, there was often like very like kind of designs, like the skull is used often as a reminder of death. And we also noticed that actually there was a lot of children blowing bubbles. And the bubble blown by a child is really referential to this sort of innocence and the fragility of life. That the bubble just arrives and then it pops and it's over in a second. And it was always attached to the child, since really as the symbol of life. And so we try to make this transposition where it's still exactly the same physical process that is happening. It's still just the bubble, as you can look at it as a physical phenomenon with the soap and the interaction with the film and all the tension that happens. So the robot reproduces exactly this, but then you remove completely the human component, and so you are left with really the experience of the physical phenomenon. And that's what we try to do in a lot of our projects with robotics now, is to explore what happens when you remove the human factor from like things that we usually associate with very like human-like qualities. What happens? So that's also interesting for these times that we are in. We can go to the next video.
Another project we want to share is, I'm just, sorry. Is this project called Handshake. It was basically a commission by the Swiss Next Boston that has the background of the stories that we were invited to come to New York for an exhibition, and obviously it got cancelled as all our other events got cancelled this year because of the pandemic. So we were basically commissioned to do an artwork that would be experienceable from afar. And so we had a long time, we were reflecting what could make sense in these days. And we were really thinking that basically the human touch and interacting with each other is something that is missing these days. So we came up with this project Handshake. Basically, it's a white space, 2 robots and 2 hands on each robot. And you come on a website, you see this setup, and then you can, with your, you see the video screen, and then you can, while registering, take control of one of the robots. And on the other hand, there is someone else also connected through the internet, through this robot. And then you can start playing or interacting with another person. And the interaction does not only happen virtually, but really also physically. So it's really raising the question of how gentle we can be with each other and how soft we can touch each other. And it's really raising this importance of the human aspects in robots also.
Then we go on this one. Not this one.
It's just
yeah, okay, sorry. It's a bit confusing, this interface of Zoom. So yeah, the last project we also want to show is this that we call Sunny Side Up. And it goes again in this exploration of what happens when we replace humans with robots, but also here we replace somehow nature with robots. This is a sundial. The only difference is that it's not a sundial that works with the sun. It's a robot that mimics the exact movement of the sun along the day. And so we just transpose the exact placement of the sun along the day at the same speed. And it's the right orientation. So basically the shadow that you see is the exact shadow that is just produced outside. But what happens is that you could see and experience the sun exactly like a regular sundial, but you could be down a bunker in a completely isolated space with no connection or contact with the outside environment. But somehow we extend this reality through the robotic system. And so for us, that's also very interesting what happens when we start to think about
we hear a lot the sound of the video and not so much your voice.
Ah, okay, sorry. It's the end of the video.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I would just to sum it up, like for us, this project is really about thinking of what happened when we replace nature with, let's say, physical augmentations. So the robot becomes some sort of extension of nature because the sun can be suddenly transposed to indoor spaces, and we can still experience this the passage of time through, let's say, physical or natural phenomena. So the movement of the shadow, but it's just produced by the fact that now the robot is able to do this. So for us, that's also very interesting experiments. And then just to close on something a bit more, let's say, playful, because we have developed all this knowledge about robotics, we realized that we know very well how to use them. And so one field that is, the fact is that we are an independent studio, so we have very experimental endeavors as the projects you've seen before, but we are also exploring, let's say, more applied or a commercial approach, and this is something called motion control. So basically the idea is that you have a camera at the end of the robot, and so you can do movements that are impossible to do otherwise, and it's been used in cinema for like a couple decades maybe, but it's very niche. And so what we have also observed in our, like the last few years, is that there is a transition happening in robotics. It used to be in factory floors, but also now it's a new wave of robot called collaborative robots. And so they are much more safe to interact with humans. They can feel and stop when they bump into something. And that's also why our work is probably something you will see develop more from other people, because these robots are more and more common, because they can be safely placed in locations where you have public. Before it was very dangerous, and now we experiment. So to close on our part, this is just a tiny video we shot last. Yeah, it's just like a bit of funny thing for closing, but it's actually sorry.
Sorry, yeah. I was laughing. It's great.
Yeah. That's the whole point of this one is to laugh. It's not like the other ones that are really about more thinking. Serious. But what I mean is that for us, this type of research, I just wanted to show this sort of experiment, because we actually do a lot of experiment that we do that end up as very serious projects. In the end, start as like funny jokes, and then we realize, oh wait, like what if this and that, and then it can suddenly becomes extremely deep and layered and complex. And so that's just wanted to show this as a closing. That's it.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very inspiring. There are many interesting points, like the idea of can a machine play? And for the soap opera, the other point I think it's very interesting is, can a machine feel for the handshake, right? And now that we have this social distancing kind of norm, how do you feel by shaking hands through a machine? Is this a intermediator? Is this a moderator for your feelings and senses? And I like the idea also that the conflict, the struggle between, in the soap opera piece, between the precise repetition of the machine, you know, it can perform exactly the same thing in nanometers, let's say, it's very precise. And at the same point, it's a very random bubble that it produces, right? So every time it, because of other elements, because of the air, because of the wind, because of the soap, it probably doesn't produce the same exact bubble every time. So I like this random and precision, kind of very interesting. Congratulations for your work. Okay, so now we are waiting for questions, and we will start the debate. I would like to start the debate by asking you, what is the major challenge you face during this pandemic? And how does it affect your work? I mean, I can see that, of course, Clarissa showed her work that is about inhaling, sharing the mouthpiece and all that. You guys have shown the handshake, for instance, that is a very typical kind of physical contact, although mediated. So I would like to start with Clarissa. What are your major challenges during the pandemic in terms of art and science creation and presentation of work?
Oh, it's a very good question. Thank you. And so I keep going with the explorations, as I said. I was about to share the version it's an experiment. Yeah, but I had this pocket version for, it's related to the presentation for IZEA next month. That was supposed to happen in Montreal, as you guys know, but we have the online version. And I don't think it's a time where we have to stop these sort of experiments or this conversation about the importance of getting or inviting contamination from the environment. We cannot survive if we isolate ourselves from the environment. I personally had COVID by the end of June, and I survived. I'm here. So now I have tons of I completely forgot the name. Antibodies, yeah, and circulating in my body, and it's not the same thing as having a vaccine, yeah, that was engineered, but yes, it's the natural way we dialogue with nature. I don't think we have to stop. And even during this time for the Sci-Art Summer Institute, I invited the students from all over the world to bake what I call the cycle bread. That's about baking a bread using their own saliva. So they become personality donors, and they were supposed to invite the family to have a piece. So they were baking the bread using their saliva. So we have molecular fragments of their microbiome. And yes, they were sharing, and people are having. It's not everything that we share where is contaminated with the coronavirus, yeah, and it's healthy. This process is important. We cannot live in if we are isolated. Okay. So yeah, about exhibiting, it's different. We have places that were not open anymore. But as far as we can keep sharing our ideas online, I think we can continue working our reflections, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. How about you guys, Thibaut and Andrea? What do you think about, is there any impact on your work?
Yeah, there was actually a lot of impact because this year started really promising. We were supposed to have tons of exhibitions, travels, a lot of lectures, and like one after the other. Like it started in January, and like we had like about a month of cancellation, one after the other. And obviously we were a bit like forced to, and then there was the lockdown, and we were for 2 months, we were only at home. But in a way, I mean, it's a bit maybe stupid to say, but for us, it was really, we were forced to halt and forced to kind of make a break from our crazy routine and crazy traveling. And it has really, it also kind of brought us back to a more, let's say, kind of natural life. In a way, we were really like, as we did not, I mean, we still had projects we were following. We were finally having the time to do some things at home. And in a way, we were really enjoying it, to be kind of forced to make a break. And I think we had a lot of positive energy on, like we were, yeah. And then also, as we were all after a sudden, we had a lot of new requests for new projects. I mean, it had shifted a bit, like not only like physical projects, but more virtual projects. We had a lot of new like web things and virtual conferences, and so, and then it made us also think what is really important, and what is really like, what do we need and what do we don't need. And I think this in a way was also positive.
Yeah. Good. And there's another question for you guys coming from the audience. Is there any expectation of using artificial intelligence in this process together with the robots? Are you thinking of using AI?
Yeah, like basically for us, that's like a long time discussion, because we started many years ago using Arduino, so this very cheap electronic prototyping platform that basically even kids can use to program simple robots. And the real question is like, what do you define as artificial intelligence? Because as soon as you have a little script that can make a little bot on the floor decide to go left or right if there is light or not, it's already a simple artificial intelligence in a way. So for us, we are already building robots that have some sort of very crude intelligence, And then the more and more we have like more inputs, the more we have sensors, the more we have complexity in the programming, in the decision tree. That's for us, that's already the way we grow the artificial intelligence of our machine or project. Because I think like for us, that's also where we see it's maybe if you want to make a parallel with life sciences, like we look at it as a gradient. So I'm not looking at a robot that is either not intelligent or artificially intelligent. It's just that it can do simple things or complex things. So we are more and more integrating this aspect of the work, but for now, often the projects we do, they revolve around very simple ideas. So we don't need to have like an autonomous robot that is able to go do like millions of different things together. So that maybe that's what you mean by artificial intelligence. But for us, we are very interested in, let's say, the primitive building blocks of intelligence in our machines. So it's kind of like coming in as a surgeon and just taking the one slice that interests us in a behavior and then emphasizing it into some artwork. So it's like maybe making it like taking a snapshot of one thing that we find interesting in a behavior that could be considered intelligent without having the whole complexity of a whole being. Or
thank you, and I'll ask you both, the three of you actually. What do you think it's lacking or can be improved in our society? What is this new better? What is lacking? What can be improved to get to a new better kind of thing? So I'll start with Clarissa. What do you think is lacking and can be improved in our society? And you can consider Brazil, you can talk about Fortaleza or Brazil or the planet or the cosmos if you like.
Cool. Well, maybe I can talk about this painting that I call World War Zero, and it's mainly us by instinct or behaving the way you are sort of programmed to behave, just destroying the planet. I think the new better, if you like using the term, means that we must slow down, or to get rid of this idea of a system of production or production of goods and having a societies based on consumption and the idea of development. And the more money a country has, the more tech a country has, so it's a better country. And we're never, I think it's the time we're invited to go back in time and to look to the simplest way of surviving on this planet, to look to the ways the Brazilian natives, the natives in Australia, they live connected to the planet, respecting the planet. We believe or we act as if we're the owners of the planet. So I'm an architect and I teach for architecture for a bachelor in architecture and urban planning. And most of the time, the main perspective is, it's our perspective, it's anthropocentric. So the city is for humans, and the scale is, the scales we have for representing the projects. We never consider as architects, or mainly architects, forget about consider microscopic scales, unless they're talking about materials and technology. I will be using whatever, concrete or glass or whatever. And yeah, I think it's important that you step from this anthropocentric view and go back in time, we slow down, stop buying things without consciousness. That's it. We must stop being afraid of losing tech, of getting rid of our robots. That's
very good point. Very good point. Slowing down is a good thing. And how about you, Thibaut and Andrea? What do you think it's necessary? What can we improve, or what can we criticize about the reality and can make it better then?
Yeah, I think for us, like one aspect we try to explore a lot is the concept of clumsiness in machines. I think like also a lot of the stuff we do with robots is more like a mirror, that shows us traits that are really much more related to us. But with the robot, you remove a bit this sort of hard, like it becomes easier to look at some human traits, let's say. And so we try to bring into the robots like the laziness aspect, the clumsiness aspect, the imperfection that actually the robot is perfectly able to do. And it's really about embracing failure, almost like not being afraid of something that cannot work perfectly, it's not about constant productivity, because these topics are extremely linked to what is going on in research in robotics. It's about making things more efficient, faster, to have like the cycle times reduced to the minimum so that factories have like the most output possible. And so just changing a few lines of code in a robot might have like millions of components coming out of factory per month more. And these are the hot topics that are research right now. And it's never really about thinking about a more interesting experience for us, or like things that are, like thinking about the human experience behind, and not just the technological achievement. And so, for us, like the new better for us, it's really about coming back to these questions, as you said, like, and not just about robotics, like what do we define as something dirty? What do we define as something that is not fitting the standards or the norms, or like ticking all the boxes? I think that's more generally what we explore in our field, but that we try to bring on the table also.
The way you're talking about your exploration makes me to think about Barbarella's spaceship, that commits mistakes. Did you see Barbarella?
Not
the movie. Oh, you must, guy, because it's related to your explorations. She asks, she arrives somewhere in a planet, and she asks to the spaceship, well, where about the planet, or wherever the place where we are. And the spaceship just said, well, I'm not sure. And it's like behaving like something that's a little bit confused, that crashed. And it's interesting. It's a must see, I think.
And, Andrea, would you like to add something?
I think in general, it's not only about robotic. It's not the robotic aspects that interest us, but it's more I think bringing back the human aspect in robotics, and really trying to think about processes and what makes sense, and what is meaningful in a way, and also what is not only to not only to produce to be produced, but just to really take the time to reflect and to think, like, what do we need, where do we want to go? And I think this is, as humanity, I mean, it's a big words, but I think we have to now really reflect on what is important, where do we want to go, and how.
Actually, that's something of a topic we discuss often, is that we try to raise questions that kind of self-destroy the work we try to do, or the market we try to explore, let's say. That we try to, or like we work with some, like, we don't work with companies, like we use the material and the equipment built by some companies that are deliberately trying to implement exactly what we don't want, in a way. So it creates this very ambivalent work, where our practice is fully in a way collaborating with this system of high tech and and the startup culture and the economy, but we are really looking into it with a very critical eye and with some distance. And like we participated in many hackathons that were organized by like big corporations like Oracle or IBM and stuff. But actually what we did there was more like we were sabotaging the thing. We're trying to build the most stupid projects every time. And actually what we realized was that everybody there, but it was mostly engineers, they actually realized that it was much more interesting, this sort of dumb project, that because they were never thinking about this. For them, it was always about making things better, faster. And suddenly they were like, oh, wait, maybe I should work on that. It's much more funny and more enjoyable. And
I think that's also our strong point. I mean, we both don't have any background in robotics. We don't have studied robotics. We are really complete outsiders, and we have learned everything ourselves. And I think we have given, for example, a conference at the European Robotics Forum, and at the end there was everyone queuing to talk to us, because they have never really seen such a kind of creative approach to robotics. They all have much more fundings than we have, as we kind of self-fund our studio, or we have no external money giver. And so they have all tons of money, but in a way they never really try to take a step backward and to really reflect. And I think that's maybe what we try to do and what we encourage others to do also.
Very interesting. That leads to another question that I think it's interesting. How can art and science be counterproductive to make us go towards this new better? Is there any other aspect that makes it counterproductive? And what values should we be looking for when we pursue these inquiries as artists and scientists in the era of the Anthropocene? In this very Anthropocene, how can art and science be counterproductive? Is there anything that is not helping us to get to the new better?
I think it can help us to reconnect. If I can give you a straight and simple answer. As far as it helps us to become aware of this invisible process. I think that's it, especially when we're talking about art that's related to biological sciences and quantum physics or quantum biology. I think it helps us to understand the invisible and to reconnect.
And do you guys think that there is a big difference between art and science in this process? Do you think art has a role and science has a different role in the middle of this pandemic? What do you think?
Well, sometimes art helps promoting it, helps making science that happens inside of the labs visible and to spread the knowledge. I think this is the main thing. And this is the spirit of Leonardo, to have scientists in labs and artists in scientists in studios, or the art side as well, and artists in labs. So to make this universes that were separated for a long time to talk is extremely necessary, and especially considering the moment we're facing now. Yeah, but I think there are differences between scientists and artists, yes.
How about you, TB? What do you guys think?
I think they can really inspire the one another, and really, I think, like in a way, I think art without science would be boring, and science without art is all like, I think, as Clarissa said, like art can help kind of mediate science in a way, and I think it's really interesting when the two meet and when the two can kind of, I think we are very interested in like scientific topics, and I think it's really important to kind of learn, like to, and also like I think in a way I think an artist and a scientist, when they do fundamental research, they probably have the same approach. They are looking for something and they don't really know what they're looking for, or they think in a way, even though they work completely different, in a way, it's also very, very similar. And I think,
yeah, I think like if you really go into the fundamental research, yeah, like an artist waking up in the morning, or someone from a lab going into the lab today to do some new experiment, both are looking for the same thing in a way. It's like you're looking for the unknown, you're looking for answers to things that are not clear. It's mostly, for us, it's mostly the tools that are changing. Like either like maybe the artist embraces instinct, while the scientist would embrace more protocols or systems of classifying or researching, while the art, it's not clear even for us. Like we don't really see the barrier. It's more like it's just different processes for looking into the same things. And so that's, for us, it's really interesting, because most of our work, like often it's very boring in a sense that it's typically not what you would expect artists to do. Like we are spending days in the workshop, like building like metal structures and programming electronics. But then at the end, it becomes an artwork, and it's absolutely not clear when this happens. And so for us, it's almost like we are way past this sort of definition of which is what. It's just that now it's, for us, that's our way of researching, and sometimes it gets more into interesting questions that fit more in a gallery space or a lab, but for us both are interesting.
Yeah, I think we are giving a very good example of how art and science can collaborate and be together, be integrated, and provide some basis for inspirational projects, for change, for getting us to this new better. I think, thank you very, very much. I thank you, the audience too. I thank for the questions, and this has been very inspiring to me, at least. I think I like it very much. I think we have a very good combination of flavors here, of odors, if you like, you know, for inhaling things and producing bubbles and all this. And I think it was very inspiring. Thank you all. And I would like to invite Gabriela and João to join me to close the event. Thank you very much for the audience.
Thank you so much, Rejane. Thank you so much for the participants. Was amazing to see your work and your contribution. And you, Rejane, the way that you conduct this is amazing. It's always a pleasure to be with you and learn with you. Thank you so much. As I said in the beginning, the Swiss Next is the partnership for this Laser Talk Rio today. So I will give the words to you, Gabriela, to say a few words before to finish the transmission.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, everyone, Clarissa, André, and Thibault, for this amazing talk. Thank you, Rejane and João and the entire Laser team of Rio de Janeiro. And of course, thank you everyone for the participation. Swiss Next will be developing this theme over the next years, so stay connected with Swiss Next Brazil on our website and in our networks for the future projects in the area of art, architecture, urbanism, innovation, science, education, and technology. Stay tuned. See you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.